watching women's basketball, it's not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of...
Oh, what a move. Okay, so the average WNBA viewership, okay?
Patrick Bet-David is known for being outspoken, and his recent comments on Angel Reese and the WNBA added more fire to his reputation. Bet-David, the entrepreneur and host of the PBD podcast, didn't hold back when he addressed the controversy surrounding Angel Reese's alleged stat padding and the WNBA's reaction to Caitlin Clark's rise in popularity. With his no-nonsense style, Patrick took to the airwaves to voice his opinion, and, unsurprisingly, it made waves. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. To understand why Patrick Bet-David's take got so much attention, you first need to grasp who Angel Reese is and why she's become a lightning rod for debate. Reese, a standout star for LSU, captured the nation's attention with her dominant play style and in-your-face attitude. She's known for her confident demeanor, trash talk on the court, and her unapologetic way of celebrating big moments, often at the expense of her opponents. Her larger-than-life personality has made her both a fan favorite and a target of criticism, especially when compared to Caitlin Clark, the Iowa Hawkeyes sensation known for her sharpshooting and competitive spirit. Clark, whose fame has skyrocketed due to her scoring abilities and clutch performances, has become a media darling. The comparison between the two players has often been framed as a clash of styles, Reese, seen as aggressive and flamboyant, and Clark, portrayed as cool and calculating. However, it's the media's handling of these narratives that often ignites debates, and it was in this context that Patrick Bet-David decided to weigh in. During his podcast, Bet-David wasn't shy about calling out what he saw as stat padding by Angel Reese. Stat padding is a term thrown around in sports when a player is accused of inflating their stats by staying in games longer than necessary or taking unnecessary shots to boost their numbers. For Bet-David, it seemed Reese's performance had moments that looked more like padding stats than playing to win. He didn't mince words about the WNBA either, suggesting that the league might be overreacting with its handling of the Reese versus Clark dynamic, almost like it was throwing a tantrum over Clark's sudden surge in popularity. Patrick's comments were like pouring gasoline on an already simmering fire. He criticized not only Reese's play style but also hinted at a deeper issue within the WNBA's response to the way Clark's popularity has overshadowed many established players. He suggested that the league might be trying too hard to balance the scales, instead of letting the fans and the game determine who deserves the spotlight. His comments about the WNBA throwing a tantrum hit particularly hard, especially among fans who believe the league struggles with promoting its stars. Bet-David's straightforward style and willingness to say what others might only think make him a compelling, if not controversial, figure in sports commentary. He's known for cutting through the noise and calling out what he sees as inconsistencies or biases. In this case, he argued that the WNBA should focus more on the game itself, rather than getting caught up in narratives that can detract from the sport's authenticity. The conversation quickly turned into a larger discussion about the state of women's basketball. Bet-David's remarks were rooted in his broader philosophy on competition, that sports are at their core about performance, merit, and letting the best players shine. To him, all the side stories and media narratives are distractions. In his eyes, Clark's rise to fame wasn't because of media favoritism, but because of her undeniable skill and clutch moments. To Bet-David, that's what sports should celebrate: the performances, not the personas or the controversies. One of the podcast's more humorous moments came when Bet-David, in his usual candid style, joked about how the WNBA might be better off taking a page from the WEE. At least in the WEE, they own the drama, he quipped, adding that the WNBA could perhaps learn how to handle rivalries in a way that builds both the players and the league's reputation. The remark was delivered with his trademark dry humor, but it had an underlying point about the importance of authenticity and embracing what makes the game exciting. It's not just Bet-David's words, but his delivery that makes his commentary engaging. He speaks with the kind of confidence that makes you feel like you're sitting across from a friend who's unafraid to call it as he sees it. And that's precisely why his comments resonated with many sports fans. While some saw his take as overly harsh or missing the nuance of the situation, others appreciated his candor and willingness to go against the grain. On the other side of the debate, many fans of Angel Reese felt that Bet-David's criticism was misplaced. They argued that Reese's passion and intensity are what make her such a compelling player to watch. To them, the suggestion of stat padding seemed like an unfair critique of a player who plays with her heart on her sleeve and gives it her all every game. The debate over what constitutes fair criticism versus what is seen as an attack on a player's character is one that has long been present in sports, and this situation was no different. The WNBA's response to Caitlin Clark's rise and the subsequent attention Angel Reese has received highlights a broader discussion about how women's sports are marketed and promoted. Should the focus be on cultivating rivalries and personal narratives, or should it be about the game itself and the players' skill sets? Bet David clearly favored the latter, seeing the former as a distraction from what truly matters in sports, competition, and excellence. As the podcast continued, Patrick didn't back down from his stance. He emphasized that great players, whether in the NBA, NFL, or any league, have always faced criticism. It's a part of the game and what drives the best to improve. He argued that Reese, like any top competitor, should use the critique as motivation, rather than seeing it as a personal attack. His tone was not of disdain but of challenge, almost as if he were a coach pushing his players to rise above the noise and prove their doubters wrong on the court. At one point, he even humorously imagined what it would be like if Clark and Reese played on the same team. The sparks would fly, but man, that team would be a ratings juggernaut, he said with a grin. His humor here was lighthearted, but it spoke to a larger truth. Fans love rivalry, but they also love seeing top-tier talent come together. In a way, his comments were as much about what could be as they were about what is. Throughout the discussion, Bet David kept his focus on what he believes is the essence of sports. It isn't about catering to narratives or bending over backward to balance public perception. It's not the game, the stats, the wins, and the losses. His direct approach might not always sit well with everyone, but it cuts through the pretense. To Patrick Bet David, the best way forward for the WNBA, and any league for that matter, is to embrace the real, raw competition and let the chips fall where they may. The fallout from Bet David's comments was immediate. Social media lit up with opinions, both defending and attacking his position. Some fans agree that the WNBA needs to be more focused on celebrating its stars based on merit, not trying to control the narrative. Others felt that his comments were overly critical of Reese and ignored the nuances of being a woman in a sport that's still fighting for equal recognition. What is clear, though, is that Patrick Bet David's willingness to say what he thinks, regardless of whether it's popular or not, keeps him at the center of sports discussions. His take on Angel Reese and the WNBA, while provocative, was more than just a hot take. It was a call for clarity in how sports narratives are shaped. For Bet David, the story should always be about the game, the players' abilities, and the competition itself. In the end, whether you agree with Patrick Bet David or not, his perspective forces fans, players, and even leagues to confront tough questions about how they want to define their sport. Are they going to embrace the drama and all that comes with it? Or will they return to the basics that made sports so beloved in the first place? It's a conversation worth having, and Bet David, with his trademark blend of wit, bluntness, and insight, made sure everyone is paying attention. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.